Hey guys. I know that I promised, well, I didn't really promise, but I know that I said I would be doing some more story videos, and I am, but I was watching Miss Heather Feather, one of my absolute favorite ASMR artists, at the moment, and, I got a hankering for book sounds, so I went downstairs and upstairs and different places, and I have a stack of 7 books to make sounds with for you guys. Some of them are a little older, more beat up, some of them are leather bound, some are more fabric-y texture, so we've got some different textures for you. My nails are sadly lacking, unlike Miss Feather's, but hopefully I'll be able to still do some tingles for you. So, this is the first book. Now, a few years ago, my family was cleaning out our basement, and we found some older books that were packed away in boxes down there, and this was one of them. And although I'm not a humongo fan of Dante, I fell in love with this book because I love old things. Things that seem to have this, like, history embedded in them, and then if, like, you only had the ability, you could, like, touch them and feel all the memories of other people that have, like, held the object. So, this book is, well, I don't know how old it is, but I'm gonna say quite old, at least compared with the other books that I have. It is rather falling apart. I'll show you. The inside of the book actually completely detaches from, or not quite completely detaches, the spine of it detaches from the cover of the spine, I guess. Some of the front sections come out. This is a picture that comes out, and these sections all have detached themselves from the binding. I'm just going to show you a few things about this book. So, there's that picture. Now, I wanted to know how old this book really is. So in the preface, it says, in the years 1805 and 1806, I published, it seems, I don't know what that word is because there's like ink missing, but I published the something part of the following translation with the text of the original, and then it goes on, blah 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 blah, keeps talking, and then the date on here is January 1814. Now, my mom, of course, and everybody, and my dad and people said that no, this book is not dating from 1814. And I would have to agree with them, as I don't know how we would have gotten our hands on a book that old. But it is, I think, at least 50 years old. It's gotta be, to be so very worn and things. If I was really into it, what I would do is look up the style of the engravings or something and see, like, what that dates from or whatever, but I haven't done that. I wasn't that curious. I'd rather just think of it as it being, almost 200 years old. So, pages are all funny edged. Let me get the book again. Zip this in. Let's see. Well, they're, except for the front few pages, it's still very gold on the outside. The back of it is not decorated, really, just plain. And it's fabric, but it's got some sort of a finish on it that makes it very smooth. The spine has embossing or something. I don't know exactly what to call it, but there's indentation of the patterns here and on the front as well. So it says Dante illustrated. Since this is a somewhat old book, I'm not going to play with it too much, but we'll set it off to the side. Okay, next book is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I have not read this book, but I saw it on the shelves and I tested it out. And I liked the way this engraved or embossed, or whatever you call it, seal type thing on the front sounded. Smells like my grandparents' attic. Just that sort of old, dusty smell, but not like an unpleasant one. Just like you could almost smell memory on it kind of thing. Thomas Hardy. There's some writing on the side here. Just somebody named Linda. Clearly this book is secondhand. There's dust flying off when I do this. Next, The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. I started to read this and then stopped and never got back to it. This one's also becoming a part of it. This is actually a dust jacket here. It's not just part of the cover. Very old. very yellow. There's the book. This part on the spine and this part on the front, both are very well indented, I guess. Whatever the word is that I can't think of now. Pages feel very soft, like they've been well stroked, kind of. They've almost got a velvety texture to them. Very soft. Wang Lung had more land than a man with an ox can plow and harvest, and more harvest than one man can garner. So he built another small room to his house, and he bought an ass and said to his neighbor Ching, "Sell me the little parcel of land that you have, and leave your lonely house, and come into my house and help me with my land." And Ching did this, and was glad to do it. And thus it might have gone forever, until all the silver was spent, and had not that one, Wang Lung's uncle, returned suddenly, without explanation of where he had been or what he had done. He stood in the door as though he had dropped from a cloud, his ragged clothes unbuttoned and girdled loosely as ever about him, and his face, as it always was, but wrinkled and hardened with the sun and the wind. Now Lotus, seeing Wang Lung distraught in her presence, and thinking of other things than her beauty, pouted and said, "If I had known that in a short year you could look at me and not see me, I would have stayed in the tea-house." And she turned her head away as she spoke, and looked at him out of the corner of her eyes, so that he laughed and seized her hand and put it against his face, and smelled its fragrance, and answered, "Well, and a man cannot always think of the jewel he has sewn on his coat, but if it were lost, he could not bear it." Spring passed, and summer passed into harvest, and in the hot autumn sun before winter comes, Wang Lung sat where his father had sat against the wall, and he thought no more about anything now except his food and his drink and his land. Let's see, what's the last thing it says? But over the old man's head they looked at each other and smiled. I should have read you from the other books. Let's see what Far from the Madding Crowd has to say. Boldwood did eventually call upon her. She was not at home. "Of course not," he murmured. In contemplating Bathsheba as a woman, he had forgotten the accidents of her position as an agriculturalist, that being as much of a farmer, and as extensive a farmer, as himself, her probable whereabouts were out of doors at this time of year. A week passed, and there were no tidings of Bathsheba, nor was there any explanation of her Gilpin's rig. So far, all the chapters have started on the left page. Coincidence? Or at least the ones that I've seen. The later autumn and the winter drew on apace, and the leaves lay thick upon the turf of the glades and the mosses of the woods. Bathsheba, having previously been living in a state of suspended feeling which was not suspense, now lived in a mood of quietude which was not precisely peacefulness. While she had known him to be alive, she could not have thought his death with equanimity. How do you say that? But now that she believed she had lost him, she regretted that he was not hers still. Oh, spoiler alert. But Can it be spoilers if it's for Far From the Madding Crowd? Okay. Next, we have a whole collection of books that look like this, but they each say a different thing here. This one says 1001 Nights. Ugh. Sorry, I gotta make sure my back isn't gonna kill me by the end of this video. Okay, so on the spine we've got these ridges and a lot of golden embellishment on the covers. Pages also golden. I think my right hand scratches better than my left. There's a marking here, and it is bookmarking Stories from the 1001 Nights, the actual begin to story. Of course, this is just all preface stuff. Let's see, there is an introduction which introduces a story about Shahryar and Shahzaman, and why the one brother was looking for a wife and why he had to, you know, kill a wife each day and all that stuff. And the stories from the 1001 Nights is actually the stories that Scheherazade or Shahrazad, or how do they say it here, told. So her name in here is Shahrazad, but I usually say it Scheherazade. So this one is the story of the merchant and the Jinni, spelled Jinni. Here. The story of the first sheik, story of the second sheik. It's all part of that one story. What else? We've got the story of the first royal mendicant, the second royal mendicant, the envier and the envied, the story of the third royal mendicant, three ladies of Baghdad, The Christian Broker. That doesn't sound like it belongs in here. The Sultan's Steward. The Jewish Physician. The Tailor. The Barber's First Brother. The Barber's Fourth Brother. Nur ed-Din and Enis el-Jealous. It's a long one. The story of S. Sinbad of the Sea and S. Sinbad of the Land. Goes on for a while. Yes, it goes on for a while. The City of Brass. Julinar of the Sea. Ala ed-Din and the Wonderful Lamp. Some of these stories I have never heard of. Of course, Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp. Well, that's a long one too. Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Actually, I have, oh look, the bookmark stopped. I have a small book version of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. A nice version with pictures and everything, and I could read that to you if you'd like. Actually, I think I might put that on my growing list of to film ASMR videos. I like the way ribbons feel beneath, or I mean between my fingers. Let's play spin the book. So let's just stow this inside here. Okay. The next book is one that I showed you in my first sounds video. Two of these. One of them is Charles Dickens, one is Edgar Allan Poe. This book is rather squishy. You can see that. And the leather is quite nicely textured. The back is plain. The spine has some lovely gold embellishment. Not everybody will like this sound, but I rather do. It sort of echoes around in my ear. It's a very soothing sort of sound to me. Hypnotic, kind of. I also like the particular tone of my tapping on this. Again, we've got more golden pages. And they feel rather soft. They're quite thin, actually. See? Got something there. A couple things, actually. Let's see what. A summary of facts known about Edgar Allan Poe and the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. Interesting. Let's set that aside for now. of America. This is volume 17, 1950 to 1960, Cold War and the Nuclear Age. We have a whole bookshelf downstairs full of these books and the Burgundy books and encyclopedias that we pretty much never use, but they look nice. In between this part and the last one, my camera card was full, so I had to empty it out to my laptop before I could finish this video. I'll show you the bottom. The bottom is clean. I wish I had a microphone so I could make more high quality sounds for you guys, but the price of all the good ones has gone up, and I don't feel like spending too much money right now because in 4 short months I'll be off to college, and it's making me very conscious of money. So I'm kind of in a saving mode rather than in a spending mode. And I guess my videos suffer a little bit because of that, but just have to make do. I've actually contemplated taking my camera to my church because I've noticed that when my church band practices, sometimes I'll whisper into the microphones when, you know, other people are goofing off or whatever, and it sounds so nice. So I figured if I wanted to make like a visualization or purely whispering or soft-spoken video, I could do that there. So we'll see about that. I'll ask my friend if he can leave the mics on for me while other people are playing or whatever in a different room. And maybe we can get some really good sounds done for you guys. Okay. The last book is this. And the cover of it is somewhere gone. But I bet some of you recognize this. J, an R, and a T, which stands for J.R.R. Tolkien. And yes, I have this correctly. This is the Fellowship of the Ring. Which, if you are good Tolkien fans, and you know this is not the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but merely the first volume. I've been wanting to reread Lord of the Rings for a while, and my family watched The Hobbit last Saturday, I think, and it made me really hungering for some Tolkien goodness. So I finally started it. I only made it through the first chapter because it was late when I was reading it, and I needed to get up early the next morning, so. But I will be reading more of this, and I'm thinking of reading a chapter or two for you guys. If you'd like that, please comment and let me know. Otherwise, it's going to get put off until I feel like really doing it, so. Unless you guys comment with your preferences, I will do the order orders, or the videos in the order that I want to do them. Again, this is a sound that not everybody will like, but if it's done sort of slowly and gently, I think it can really induce tingles. Sort of vibraty feel, like kind of gets into like your skull kind of, and it just penetrates to like, I don't know, massage your brain, yes. Let's bring this up. The old Middle Earth. What's this? I can't tell. I'm looking at it upside down. Hopefully you can tell, even with the funky light. It says 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. Perhaps I should read you a bit of the prologue. This book is largely concerned with hobbits, and from its pages a reader may discover much of their character and a little of their history. Further information will also be found in the selection from the Red Book of Westmarch that has already been published, under the title of The Hobbit. That story was derived from the earlier chapters of the Red Book, composed by Bilbo himself, the first hobbit to become famous in the world at large, and called by him There and Back Again, since they told of his adventure into the East and his return, an adventure which later involved all the hobbits and the great events of that age that are here related. Many, however, may wish to know more about this remarkable people from the outset, while some may not possess the earlier book. For such readers, a few notes on the more important points are here collected from Hobbit lore, and the first adventure is briefly recalled. And he goes on to talk about hobbits and the ordering of the Shire, of the finding of the ring, and a note on Shire reckoning. And then it begins, the Fellowship of the Ring being the first part of the Lord of the Rings. And there's another map, which is of this Shire, or a part of the Shire. No, it seems to be most of the Shire. Book 1. And here we have packet. I was watching the behind the scenes for the Lord of the Rings, for the Fellowship of the Ring, at any rate, about a month ago. Almost as good as watching the movie itself, just the detail and the amount of work that went into making those things. I mean, they did their Tolkien research. I don't know what happened with The Hobbit. I don't even really want to think about it right now, but for Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, they really did a phenomenal job. Those 3 movies are my absolute 3 favorite movies ever. More than Princess Bride, or Ever After, or Inception, or the original Star Wars trilogy even, or what else? Other cool movies that I can't think of right now. It's my absolute favorite. So, that's my book sounds video. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you soon with more long soundness.